So as you can see, we're in a little bit of a different setup than we usually are. We're in a 24 Porsche Panamera. That's going to be kind of the basis for today's podcast. This is our 4th podcast, so if you guys enjoy any of our content, if you go and actually hit the like and subscribe down below.
We're trying to catch up to LeBron.
Our goal is to catch up to LeBron James. He went from 0 to 300,000 in 24 hours. So we're going to see if we can beat him.
They can't produce the gold play buttons fast enough for him.
That's exactly right. So I'm pretty excited about today's podcast.
Yeah, we figured to try it inside of a car since we're like one of the first dealers in Southern California that has a 24 Panamera in it. So we figured, hey, let's do one from the inside as we talk about it.
That's perfect.
Because we've been trying to avoid talking to each other about the car.
Yes, as we always do. So we're always trying not to talk about it. So we're going to, if you want to talk maybe about some Porsche news first, and then we'll go into maybe some of the changes and then what we overall think of the new Panamera. So the sales numbers recently came out for the Porsche sales between January and April. Looks like overall Porsche's up, but here in the US market, they're pretty drastically down. They're about 23% down. And then in China, they're also down as well. But I think in Germany, they were 37 or something like that % up. So I find that pretty fascinating that, it's a big change year over year. We're way down.
I wonder if that has to do with the economy in Germany. Maybe their economy is better.
I think it's partially that, as well as also the chips maybe have slowed us down here. Yeah. So for those of you and people that maybe hadn't seen our podcast in the past, there's the chips that are being produced in Belarus. So it's kind of limiting the overall deliveries that we are able to have here in the U.S. too. But maybe, like you said, maybe the economy is doing better in Germany than it is here in the United States. But I find it pretty fascinating. Those are some pretty drastic, different numbers. 37% in Germany, down to minus 23 in the U.S.
So that wasn't 4th quarter of last year. That was 1st quarter this year.
1st quarter this year.
Wow.
January to April.
Numbers really quick, don't you think?
They did. Yeah, because what are we at? I mean, it's already
it's only
April.
The 2nd week of April.
So it was pretty quick. But there's a little table that maybe I'll pop up here for people that are watching. They can see the overall numbers. But it was pretty fascinating to see that. So,
And at least we're starting to see more cars getting dropped off, too.
We are. So we're slowly seeing more cars. It's been very dry.
Yeah.
I've been with Porsche for 9 years, never seen anything, quite like this. So it's pretty nuts that we have a pretty big lack of cars that are coming in. So
and especially on 911s.
911s are very limited.
It's every time a truck pulls up, we're like, is it going to be any 911?
Yeah. So we haven't seen any RS cars, for weeks, and now we're maybe seeing. I think we saw a Turbo S the other day, but other than that, it's still pretty limited. Yeah, it was a black Turbo S coupe.
This one in the showroom, is that sold?
That one's available.
Oh, okay,
that one's
good.
available.
All right.
So that's a pretty sweet car. A coupe, Turbo S cab, or coupe, excuse me.
Yeah.
So.
That's good. Hopefully, we'll see things loosening up, because that's what people are always asking us, or at least they're asking me out and about. Is how's sales going?
Yes.
What's the business like?
So I think that Porsche really wants to up the numbers over the next, couple quarters, and hopefully it'll really increase sales. I hope. So we'll see what happens. But for those of you first time checking out our channel, I guess we haven't really introduced ourselves. My name's Mason. I have a separate channel called P-Car Whisper, where I geek out over everything Porsche. In this, it's me and Mike. We're actually colleagues here at Porsche Irvine. So we're just kind of sitting. We're big time Porsche lovers, so we like to talk about the brand. I was a service advisor first, and now I'm in sales. And Mike, if you want to maybe introduce yourself, so for all the new listeners and viewers.
Yeah, I've been here two and a half years almost. Product specialist, kind of help customers learn the ins and outs of the technology of their cars. And so, did a little sales last year. And doing some marketing this year, making videos for the store and putting it on Instagram, my own personal Instagram and TikTok stations or channels, and so it's been fun.
If you guys want to follow them, it'll be at Microsnack, right?
Microsnack on all platforms.
Yeah. So go ahead and check them out. Is there any other news that you wanted to talk about before we kind of dive into the new Panamera?
No, let's dive in.
Let's dive in. So for those of you that are watching us, you're going to see that there's a pretty drastic difference here in the center console from the previous generation. We've now got a wireless charger that's going to be right here in the center, as well as
air conditioned.
Air conditioned.
Yeah.
So in the past we didn't have that. There's these nice little cooling vanes down below.
Yeah.
A lot of the, for example, in the Taycan, I heard a lot of people, the phones were overheating because it was such a tight compartment there.
Same thing in that Macan, that GTS we were driving today. I got a notice on my thing, phone needs to cool down. Yes.
Interesting. So yeah, those didn't work that well. So if you guys have an older Taycan or a Macan or even a Panamera last gen, your phone may overheat. So here it's new and improved.
Yeah.
We also tested that both USB-C ports will enable Apple CarPlay, and I would assume the same thing for Android Auto for all those Android Auto users.
Yeah.
The center console, you want to talk maybe a little bit about how that's changed, Mike, in terms of...
Yeah, I mean, if you could tell that there's no more shift knob like there was in the previous gen.
Yeah.
They made completely look like the Taycan.
Yes.
So if you're familiar with the Porsche electric car, this interface of the dash and the whole layout looks like the Taycan, except for there's no charging and HVAC screen in the center console here. They have this pad that looks very much like the new Cayenne, which is interesting because the whole pad itself is haptic. Like the whole thing operates as one giant button.
Yeah.
Depending
almost
on
like on a screen, almost like on a springboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like.
It's interesting, but I'm glad that they still have a physical radio volume button.
Yeah.
And physical, temperature control buttons.
Same.
Make it nice because a lot of people ask for that, like the physical buttons.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through a menu on the screen to get into your HVAC system, so that's nice.
Which is nice. They also relocated the shift knob, like you said. Before we had it in the center, now we've got it just like the Taycan as well as the Cayenne. What do you think of the new shifter placement?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, once you get used to the Taycan Cayenne, it's going to be second nature when you get into any of the Porsche cars to be able to have the little Norelco shaving razor, shifter.
Right, for sure.
And we were commenting as we were driving here about the steering wheel, how it's still the same 918 steering wheel.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I love it, which means it's almost been 10 years.
Yeah.
That was 2015.
Oh,
it was launched 2013, but the first cars were 2015.
Okay, yeah.
So it's pretty fascinating. We're still using that as well as a very small little airbag. Now right here, what do you think about the new Porsche Crest that they've launched? This is the first car we've seen that has it.
Yeah, love it. I mean, it's subtle, but if you hold them to, I'm sure on social media they have examples of the old and the new right next to each other.
Yeah.
It's a nice upgrade with making Stuttgart in print instead of just embossed.
Yes.
I like the little hexagons as opposed to the leather looking dots on the red.
I do
area.
too. Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
I think it's classy, and also in the gold portion, it's just kind of almost polished.
Yeah.
Back in here, which I think looks really, really nice.
Yeah,
so
nice.
I think overall they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Now speaking of these little hexagons, earlier we had talked about it's another place you'll find the hexagons, and where is that?
Any kind of grate inside the car, you'll see they carry the same hexagon shape with all the speaker outlets on the dash. Everywhere is that same hexagon that's in the emblem.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Touch. Yeah,
it's a very nice touch. So they kind of linked them both. Love that. Of course,
what do you think about these lights now? They didn't have this in the old Panamera, huh?
You could still get ambient lighting, but it wouldn't be this drastic. I kind of like how it is, to be honest.
Yeah,
it really
it's
pops.
A nice touch. Yeah.
It's really nice how it kind of comes. I mean, this is a really wide center console now, but it's really nice how you can really see it, especially where in the shop it's a little bit darker down in your footwell. I think they did a really good job with that, opposed to the previous generation. Also now have a push button start. Previously we had, of course, our little twisty with our keyless, key.
Yep.
So I think that's a nice addition. And then of course all digital instrument cluster, which is again derived from Taycan as well as Cayenne. Now you can also change all the screens here, so you can just see, all the differences. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think all the different screens. Now, in terms of how the car drives, what do you think of how the new car drives opposed to the previous generation? Now, the car we're in is just a base model with premium package, and you can see we've got sports chrono and whatnot, but what do you think?
Impressed with what the base had to offer.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to feel it with the active ride and the air suspension.
Same.
That's got to be amazing, but you could tell it's definitely an upgrade from the last generation, just like the Cayenne was an upgrade from the previous generation. It may be subtle, and you may have to drive the same build car back to back with the new versus the old generation to be able to really tell the difference.
Yeah.
Even with the same tire, you'd have to have, because the
Yes.
difference in the tire heights that they offer now on the new Cayenne, especially, you could tell the difference.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
And now with the car having, PASM as standard as well as adaptive air suspension too, I think that really is helping the car just feel smoother as you drive, which I really, really like. So I think they did a really good job with the way it drives. I don't remember feeling this way, but when we were just driving this car, I feel like the hood is longer than I remember for some reason.
And I think that's because the fender or the haunches over the lights are more pronounced.
They're higher up.
Just like, and then they have the hood that's kind of recessed down right next to the haunches that make it seem more 911-ish.
Yeah.
You know, like
that
you can
makes
see
sense.
your edges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely tell a difference. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I could really feel it.
What else do you think about the outside? What do you think about the way that they took the outside design? Can you remember without getting out of the car?
I remember we've actually previously talked about this, even though we're trying not to talk about it. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the new front grille.
Okay.
It's, it's got that little small section right below the hood. I think I had previously mentioned it looks like a Nissan GTR or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I, necessarily really like that. I know sometimes I'm always kind of old school and I like to be sticklers on the new cars, and I don't like them, and then I really like them. So I feel like, that's maybe happening. So I don't know what I think about that. The rear taillight isn't drastic, but I almost feel like right now how I feel is I like the previous car from that aspect better. How it drives drastically better. This is all pretty cool. How about you? What are your thoughts on the car?
Yeah, I think I was surprised because when we saw the new Cayenne, both of us kind of were like, I'm not sure, but it seems like the quality of the fit and the finish of everything, especially on the inside, seemed to go down a little bit. It wasn't like a step up. It seemed like a little step backwards.
Yes.
But as far as the exterior design, I mean, I did a post where I did cars next to each other, and everybody liked the exterior. Just with a more angular look and squared off edges and the haunches accentuated. So I have to agree that I think they got the exterior design as an upgrade. It does look like an advancement, like they're going now away from round and flowy lines to more angular lines as the new design language, and I think they got it right. I mean, Porsche knows how to design
for sure.
cars. It seems like any car that they design has the right proportions, all the angles, no matter which way you look at it, it looks like a good looking car.
Yes. And we also got the new headlights as well. This car's got the HD Matrix. It's great that they're still keeping the 4-point headlight in all of our cars. That's a very Porsche signature thing, but I think those are pretty slick looking, and they're really bright at night, so it's pretty sweet. I think overall I really, really like the new car. Of course, people need to get out and drive it, but I think it's a drastic change from previous gen. Just like when I drove the Cayenne, I'm like, wow, this drives way better than the previous gen. Not that the previous one drove bad, but just how smooth and
refined.
That's a good way to put it. Refined. Very refined.
But you definitely can tell it's a Porsche.
Yes.
I like how they make the little dog leg in the back window to kind of mimic their SUVs with the little dog leg and design in the back window.
Yep.
I like the little GT3 treatment on the back bumper.
On the bumper.
The lower valiance.
Yeah.
That's a nice ode to that.
Yes.
I like the side vents. As we see here, it almost makes
kind of protrudes.
The front section of the car seems like it's pronounced, and then everything is tucked underneath it.
Yeah.
Has just like the back half of the car is tucked under the front half of the car.
No, I get it. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I like that. Overall, pleased with Panamera. Can't wait to try the Active Ride.
Because we're going to be doing some cool stuff.
Totally.
So for those of you who don't know, Active Ride is going to be as part of any of the e-hybrid variants. So it needs that extra battery to really be able to control the suspension. But I'm really excited about it as well, just to be able to see how that, interacts. This PCM is way quicker before. To me, it seems a lot more responsive than it previously was. So I really like that.
The CarPlay is bigger.
CarPlay is really nice and large. It got a really nice big screen, just over 12 inches. So I think overall, great job as always to Porsche for this new Panamera.
We have three of them here.
Yeah, with gray, white, and then we have a gentian blue with chalk interior. So they're all either Panamera or Panamera 4s. Those are the kind of the first couple floating in, but
Yeah.
I think overall did a great job, and after driving it, love it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to cover as part of today's podcast? Or
I think this is good.
that's good.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for everyone. Again, if you like all the content, go ahead and hit like and subscribe down below. Then I'll also link my channel as well as mine, P-Car Whisperer. So yeah, we'll hopefully see you guys on the next podcast. We're doing this every 2 weeks, so twice a month. So just be on the lookout. We're going to be covering anything Porsche news. So we're really excited about where this podcast is going to go. So thank you guys for watching.
We're coming for you, LeBron.
I love it.